Hey everybody, Al Puglisi Trains with my friend Dave Sullivan. How you doing, Dave?
Pretty good, Al. How are you doing?
And we're over Dave's house, and his layout is a layout in progress, that's which most of our layouts are. But the scenes are absolutely beautiful, and what Dave has done is very, very impressive. So let me stop running my mouth. And first of all, it's a HO scale layout. And tell us what you're going to model. Penzi, freelance, what year?
This layout's actually going to be set in the late 30s, early 40s time frame.
Okay.
It's going to be based on Pennsylvania during that time period. I modeled the Reading in Pennsylvania,
Mm-hmm.
and I have a freelance railroad called the Allegheny Corridor,
Okay.
which will be a railroad that typically would run from southeast Pennsylvania through the Allegheny Appalachian Mountains up into northwest Pennsylvania.
Mm.
A lot of coal, some steel, and other various goods. I guess they would ship in boxcars, and I have a lot reefers as well. There'll be some farming things on this layout.
Wow. And it's steam, late 50s, mid 50s?
Actually, earlier than that. It's all steam, no diesel.
Okay.
It's going to be, like I said, the late 30s, early 40s, just at the start of World War II.
Okay.
I'm very particular on the insignia on the buildings, the advertising, the cars themselves. I want the cars to be as accurate as I can.
Okay.
I have some brass, a lot of Broadway limited.
Stuff. Well, let me get out of the picture and let's start a layout tour.
Okay.
Well, folks, when you come downstairs, again, it's a layout in progress, but I just want to do a pan. Dave, about how big is this space for the layout?
The entire layout will encompass about 1,500 square foot of basement.
Okay. And it's obviously HO scale, and it's North Coast DCC?
Yes, it's NCE.
Okay, NCE system, and we see you're working on the track and the wiring, and some trains can run, you were saying?
Yes, the track's kind of dirty now, but I can run trains up to the breaker cold operation.
Oh, wow. And we're just doing a quick pan through. So even though it's a layout in progress, there's some really impressive workmanship and scenes I want to show you folks. And we'll be visiting this layout as time goes on. So let's pause it and let's go over to the beginning scene we want to talk about. So Dave, tell us about this first scene you see when you come down this city, I guess city scene.
Yes, this city is going to be the mythical city of Westchester.
Okay.
And basically going to be, the beginnings of it is the industrial section where you have an ice and cold storage building. You have some rental apartments there, a grocery supply company, and then you have a machine company. I named it after a good friend of mine who's passed. His name is Chuck Schweitzer. These buildings here that you currently see are made from hydrocal castings. I made the molds for them.
Wow.
The Reynolds ice and cold storage was a mix of Monster Laser brick and a purchase from downtown Deco castings.
God, these are massive. And this looks very similar to what you might see on the Franklin in South Manchester.
Yes, I get a lot of inspiration from George Selio's Franklin, South Manchester. That time period has always attracted me as far as the buildings and the advertising during that time.
Let's start in this little corner here. You were telling me that on this Lefevre company or Lefevre company, you used Monster Brick, and Monster Brick is a wood product?
Yes, it's a wood product made at Lockspar Monster Laser Works. He has these brick sheets and various concrete sheets. I found that brick looks better than anything I've seen out there.
Wow. And then these structures in the center, these are probably American folk colors. We were talking about these, maybe the country reds or the brick reds or the terracottas.
Terracottas, yes. I use the cheap folk art paints for a lot of my brickwork.
Wow. And these are what, about maybe 2 inches, 1 inch thick?
Yeah, they vary. Anywhere from 2 inches, some 5 inches thick. The key here is they call this layering, where you push everything together and step it in and out rather than just one one solid
Right.
depth.
Kind of stacking it, layering
Stacking it, layering it, exactly.
it. And then just really exquisite workmanship. And really, it's a big scene. And even though there's a lot unfinished, this grabbed my eye the minute I came down here. I'm like, man, this is really, really incredible. Just zoom in on some of this detail down in here. And this center building that's yellow in color, what is that? That is Union Refrigeration?
Yeah, that basically were walls. I don't know if you guys remember Ed Falaz. He made cast hydrocal building kits and what have you.
Yes, that guy. Yeah, he made a drugstore and a bunch of other buildings.
Yes, and that's basically built or wall sections from his stuff.
Okay.
I got that at Springfield at a train show as far as the walls, and then I painted them and kit bashed it to form this Union Refrigerator office.
Now, this what is it? Schweitzer machine.
Yes.
This is really impressive, and folks, it's about 28 inches wide by about. It looks like it's about 28 by 30.
Yes, that's about right. Yeah.
This thing is just massive. Tell us. This was a Magnuson at one time, or
this was basically Magnuson's Menasha woodenware.
Okay.
And what I did, just for private use, I made a mold out of the wall sections, and that's hydrocal.
Right.
And then I used a terracotta and pan pastels as far as the weathering effects.
Weathering. Yeah, this is it's big, but it's impressive. And it's about 6 inches deep?
Yeah, I'd say closer to 7 in this one.
Okay, I'll get a side shot. And I love the shot down low of the stone base and the junk. It's just cool. Now, this big building on the far right, what is this name of this? What is this one?
That's basically an extension of Schweitzer machine manufacturing. That's the machine shop area where they actually construct the machines and put them together and make the parts. The building you just previously saw, that would be the office building.
Okay. And these walls look familiar. The old Revel engine house kit, is that what it was?
Yes, Revel in the Superior Bakery.
But you had to modify these to fit Tichy windows.
That's exactly right, yeah.
Because, folks, John Allen had kit bashed a million of these Revel plastic buildings on the Gory and Defeated.
Yes.
I saw it. And I'm like, so what you had to do was you had to modify it so that instead of using the plastic windows that are etched, you could actually put Tichy windows inside this.
That's correct. Yeah, that's basically what I've done. That's Tichy with the tilt out windows. And the fire escapes on that was basically scratch built.
Right. Just very impressive. And then this little shot across here is going to be.
This will be a major classification yard.
In here?
Railroad, yes.
Okay.
This will be approximately 10 tracks across.
Okay.
When it's done.
And let's take a quick walk over here because I want to show folks your beautiful hand-laid track. I was just talking about the ties and just the beauty of your track work. So it's all hand-laid.
That's correct.
And how do you do the ties? You stain the ties? Are they Campbell's ties, or what kind of?
Those ties are Mount Albert.
Oh, they're Mount Albert ties.
Mount Albert ties. I order those from Fast Tracks. And basically, what I do is I use Hunterline stain, tie stain, and what have you, and stain them with that, and then I sand them so they're all perfectly level.
Wow.
And then I go back and touch them up to get the color variation.
It's beautiful, and it's a work in progress. Now this Scott Olvert, who we just did a feature on, did this building for you here, didn't he?
Yes, Scott built that building. He also built the FSM train station there next to it.
Oh,
they're just in there stand-ins right now.
Right, at this point in time.
Yes.
Right. And then here's a Chippy Hollow Fine Scale Miniatures. And you're going to be modeling winter. You've decided to model winter.
That's right. Yep. Winter, late fall, early winter.
Wow. And we have a Gerald E. Willikers. And this building here is interesting. Did you scratch build this one?
Yes, that's completely from scratch.
Wow.
Yep.
And Gerald E. Willikers is a fine scale miniatures kit. And then what I really like is your take on this South River Model Works. That's what, Wilmanson Papers or something?
That's Ridgely Papers.
Ridgely Papers, right. I have that kit.
Yeah.
And you've changed it, just different color, a completely different take.
That's right. I stained the wooden section of that building to using actually the Hunter line stains there with that.
Do you remember what color that was you used?
I believe it was with their brown color.
Okay.
It was one of the brown shades that they have.
We can check. Now, Scott, folks, I did a day in a shop with Scott, and we were at Jeff Grove's layout, and this Jeff Grove came out with this building as a kit, but Scott worked with you to kit bash or change it around, right. I guess, and this is a completely different rendition of that kit.
Exactly, yeah. This basically, what I did, I ordered Monster Laser brickwork again.
Okay.
And it was basically cut over. Scott cut the bricks and or cut the windows in and what have you, and we built the main section of Westchester Arms using the Monster Laser brick and what have you. And then the part to the left, the machine shop area to the left there, I did that part and added it on.
That's
using
beautiful.
the same color paint. And we modified it somewhat. We added a crane and some trash and garbage and what have you.
Was this part of the kit, or was that added on?
That was added on. That was scratch built.
Scratch built.
Scratch built.
Okay.
The part on the left.
And the way that South River Model Works kit sits behind it, staggered, is a beautiful presentation. And let's talk about these trees. You're using, these are baby's breath?
Yes, I use baby's breath trees, pick the little flowers off of them. And they come in like in a bouquet at flower shops. And then I use Krylon camouflage paint and various browns and spray them.
Wow.
And then the leaf flocking I get from Scenic Express, the fall leaf flocking. And I paint a couple of the trees. I use white to make them look like birch trees.
Wow, yeah, this is very well done. And again, the way the ties, the coloring and the ties and everything, just beautiful.
Thank you.
And work in progress, like I say, but believe me, folks, you're going to be seeing more of this layout as time goes on. We're going to go over to another little area. Hey, here's a Howard Zane car that you picked up when you were over the house a week or two ago.
That's right, yeah.
And it's sitting over in a siding here. And here's another example of some of your exquisite work. This abandoned building is beautiful. Is this a total kit bash, or was this a particular building, or what?
That was actually done from molds. That particular mold was, I think, Wisher's washers, a Magnuson kit in the walls.
Okay.
And then I basically, just before the hydrocal dried, I snapped off pieces of it and assembled it, put it together.
Take a hammer and break it open and crack it open. Look at that. Here's a wall of using the baby's breath. Some of them have a little bit of flock on, just a little.
Just a little, like stubborn trees that didn't lose their leaves yet.
And what's interesting is we were talking about the background color. It's not a sky blue, it's like a gray haze color.
Right. I'm weathering a cloudy, foggy, misty day. I'm using it's basically a bear paint from Home Depot called Irish Mist.
Okay.
And then I may put some different hues of blue, airbrush it at the top here. I haven't quite finalized what I want to do near the ceiling yet, but
it's beautiful. And all the walls, what's nice, folks, when you're building a layout, if you have the ability to do it, is if you can curve all the square corners of the walls, it's good to do. I mean, some of them are curved, some of them aren't. But you can hide that if you've got a corner. You curve this wall.
Right. I curved the inside corners are what I'm trying to hide or cover up. So,
okay.
The outside, like you said, Al, the outside corners you can pretty much cover up with stone retaining walls.
Yeah, that's
So,
easy. That's
yeah.
easy to cover up. And then over here, eventually, it's going to be some type of river scene. You've got some
Yeah.
brass bridges.
Yes. Now they're not elevated up yet, but they're going to be. I got to build the pillars and piers and everything for these guys,
Wow.
which is the next project actually this winter. A friend of mine's going to be painting the bridges for me.
Uh-oh. Does he know that?
Yes, he knows it now. Yeah.
Folks, I'm going to come around to this coal. Now, this is a coal mine complex, correct?
Right. Yeah. They call them that's coal breakers and.
God, this is unbelievable. And you completely scratch built
Yes,
this.
this was all done from scratch. I did that.
My
That was one of my
God.
earlier projects, probably from the late '90s, early 2000s.
My Lord, this is just beautiful. Look at how you must have at least 1,000 hours in this.
Yes, and actually I've lost track of how
Yeah.
much time it took me to build that. But yes, it was a lot of.
Now, and was this I forgot now. I'm in such shock looking at this. Was this a prototype or is
Well,
it
actually-
freelance?
Actually, it was a freelance from a collage of pictures I had. It's not really. It's based on a northeastern breaker complex in Pennsylvania, up near a little town called Oliphant.
Uh-huh.
I'm pronouncing that right. But what happened is some of it I didn't turn out the way I wanted it, so I just kept adding little buildings to it, and I added a diagonal conveyor and the breaker buildings and what have you.
And the trees,
And the trees are some of my earlier baby's breath.
baby's breath. This is an indication of what this layout's going to look like, folks, once you get all the winter rolling scenery in with the trees
Yes.
and everything. This is going to be an absolutely spectacular layout. And this is a coal breaker, another one you're going to model?
Yeah, that's called the Plymouth breaker.
Okay.
And, they have a lot of examples of breakers on Shorpy.com on the internet.
Mhm.
And the Plymouth breaker is then my next build, which will be to the right of this one.
All right,
maybe,
right in this hole.
right in that hole there.
Tell people the difference between a coal mine and a breaker.
Well, a coal mine basically is just that, a mine, where if you could have a diagonal shaft or a vertical shaft where they'd use mine skips to extract the coal out of the ground.
Right.
What a breaker does, once the coal gets into the building or the facility, a breaker busts the coal up into its various sizes.
Okay.
You typically would have what they call pea, nut, and egg, and those would be the three sizes of coal.
Okay.
And that's the breaker's job, literally, is to bust up the coal. Now, they also, back in the Depression, they had what they call breaker boys. Young boys would sit on little stools as the conveyors would go underneath of them, and they'd pick out the waste rock inside.
Oh, wow. Well, that sounds like a job that OSHA wouldn't want anymore.
Yeah, they would probably get a little upset with that nowadays.
Well, let's pan across and let me go ahead and pause it here. Folks, I'm in business making structures with Howard Zane and Dave. We were talking about time, saving time, and you're an incredible modeler. And it's obvious that coal bunker you built, I mean, that is world class. That belongs in a museum. It's spectacular.
Thank you.
But we were all joking about this. I'm 64, you're a little older than I am, and we're like, God, are we ever going to build a structure like that coal mine, or to build a structure like one of these beautiful South River Model Works kits? You're looking at 80, 100 hours easy.
Easy, yes. Yeah.
And so people don't balk when you see stuff, when people are asking $2,500 or $800 or $900 or $1,000, you have to look at if you have the means. But who is going to have the time to build all this stuff?
Exactly.
And you acquire these when you see these. This actually came off Dick Elwell's layout.
Yes, the Hossack Valley. Okay, Dix. I bought that at Springfield.
Yep. When Dick passed away, the layout was parted out, and this was one of the buildings. You're very fortunate to have this.
Yes.
Because he was just an iconic model railroader, the Hossack Valley. And this also came off of Dick's layout. This one here, I believe.
Yeah, the Elwood Stone Company came off of Dick's layout as well. Yes.
Yeah. Now, Swackhammers did not. Swackhammers was just another diorama you found.
Yes.
So, hey folks, sometimes you see dioramas, some are better than others, but you can't knock somebody that, if you have the means to plunk down $2,500 for a big diorama, you have to ask yourself, how long is it going to take me to do that?
Exactly.
It's going to take me 2 months. Well, is 2 months of my time worth this? Yes.
Yes. When it comes to time, yes. Because you'd like to have your layout to the point where it's reasonably nice to run trains and
Right.
have friends over.
And of course, sometimes you can find exquisite builds. And all I can say is, if you snooze, you lose. If you see, now Scott built this for you, didn't he?
Yeah, Scott built that one. That was one of his builds, which is going to be part of a small town that I'm going to do here eventually.
Scott's workmanship is just unbelievable.
He does incredible work. He really does.
Man. This is not a kit bash. This is scratch build.
That's scratch. Yes.
Wow, look at these ads on the wall here. Here and some more buildings. Just acquiring these, when you see these, grab them, because if you have the means. Now, obviously, there's a lot of folks out there that can't afford to plunk down that kind of money, but if you can, and time is a problem, and usually time is the problem, this is something that, now obviously building these is a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah.
But if you're building a big layout and you need to acquire top of the line structures, contact me, because that's what I do, and I can help you. Well, Dave, I really appreciate the tour, and I guess we're going to come back here many times in the future and keep filming it as progress.
You guys are more than welcome. Yep.
Thanks.
Yep, you're welcome. Thank you.